K-pop shows can either make you burst out laughing or make you cry your eyes out. There's no in between. From Hyuna crying after meeting her former trainee friend and changkyun getting rejected by Monsta X to Felix getting eliminated from Stray Kids. Here are 7 most heartbreaking moments from K-pop shows. Pak Bom visiting her aunt's grave. Back in the day when 2NE1 was still active and Pak Bom was a member of the group, they had a show called 2NE1 TV. In one of the episodes, Pak Bom visits the grave of her aunt in the US. The reason why this special private moment was so touching is that it was the first time Pak Bom had visited the grave. When Bom was young, she lived in the US without her parents and her aunt was her guardian who took care of her. Unfortunately, she got seriously sick and ended up sending Pak Bom away so that she wouldn't have to watch her suffer. Pak Bom holds the memory of her aunt very close to her heart since she was the only person who supported her in pursuing a music career. As the episode progressed, Bom seemed more and more emotional. She could barely hold her tears back when she wrote a card to her aunt. Bom's message was simply heartbreaking. I miss you so much. I've become a successful singer. I'm sorry I came so late. I love you. When her aunt passed, Bom found out later and wasn't able to attend the funeral. It was one of her biggest regrets. Seeing Bom crying over her aunt's grave was absolutely devastating. Many fans got angry that the cameras were still rolling when she was having such an important moment of her life. Pak Bom had this to say about her aunt. She dropped me off at auditions and cheered me on. She would be so happy to know that I am a singer now. Bom really deserves the whole world. Hyuna crying on The Unit. In 2017, Hyuna was a judge on the show called The Unit, Idol Rebooting Project. The show was a K-pop survival show that offered a second chance for idols who have already debuted but didn't succeed. In one of the episodes, a ballad singer Ju appeared. Minju debuted under JYP in 2008 with the song Because of a Man. After her debut, some of the songs ended up ruling the music charts, but her career went downhill very quickly. When she was asked why she decided to participate in the show, Minju revealed, "I actually wanted to become a singer because I wanted to be in an idol group. I was training to be in a group, but I happened to debut as a ballad singer." While Minju was saying these things, the camera moved around, showing judges' faces, and it looked like Hyuna was slowly getting emotional. When Minju admitted that she had thought she would never get another chance to debut in an idol group, Hyuna started crying. And soon after, the true reason for her tears came to light. The audience was super confused when Hyuna burst out crying and fell with her head on the table feeling so emotional. It was revealed that Hyuna and Minju used to be trainees together and were supposed to debut in Wonder Girls. The sad story left everyone teary. Ju said, "That's why whenever I would see Wonder Girls, I'd think, what would it have been like if I was there next to them?" At that point, Hyuna apologized for crying and said, "Minju and I worked towards the same dream since I was in elementary school." After Minju performed her number, Hyuna began crying again because of watching her friend fighting for a place in the show. It's really strange how life works like that, don't you think? While Hyuna was becoming the main idol of her generation, her best friend was left in the dark. Definitely a strong moment. I am being ignored for joining No Mercy. Remember the survival show No Mercy? In the 8th episode, changkyun joins the cast, and let's just say the whole situation was filled with such strong emotions that you could feel the tension through the screen. I guess it wasn't called No Mercy for no reason. IM was not a member of the original lineup, and when the other members found out that he was joining the show, they got angry. The reason for that was that they had trained for a long time and been part of the show longer than he has. They found it unfair. When changkyun entered the room and greeted the members, you could literally hear crickets. The cast was so angry that they could barely look at him. It's so hard to watch how they ignored IM, but at the same time, you can understand their emotions. When it was announced that he'd be living in the dorm as well, he seemed so lost because everyone just kept on walking around him, paying no attention to him at all. The trainees were angry because they didn't get to say goodbye to Minkyun, who was eliminated back then, and now they had to welcome a guy who just took his place. It was Chuan who was the first to talk to the new guy, tell him where his bed was, and sympathize with him a little. Changkyun was on the verge of crying the whole time. It was only expected that he would burst out in tears. When he sat down in the living room, every member stood up and left the room, which broke the heart of the viewers. It was so hard to watch. Members were saying things like, "I'm not going to be friends with him," and you could see that they really meant it at that moment. Later in the episode, Juwon took the initiative again and spoke to IM one-on-one. He explained the situation to him, and Changyeon ended up crying, saying he'd hoped that they'd open up to him little by little. Now, every member of Monsta X is in love with IM, and it shows. Jackson Wang meeting his family. In 2014, the second season of the extremely popular Korean reality show Roommate aired on TV. GOT7 was a fairly new group at the time, and Jackson Wang was introducing himself to the public as a goofy, bubbly boy who loves to joke around with others. Watching him on the show was simply a treat, and many people fell in love with him thanks to Roommate. However, Jackson experienced a truly magical and touching moment on the show. During a special Christmas episode, JYP managed to set up a family reunion for Jackson. Mind you, he had no idea about this, and it was the biggest surprise for him. When he saw his mother, Jackson ran towards her crying all along. The rest of the cast members started to sob the second they realized how precious the moment moment for Jackson really was. He hugged his mom and dad after not seeing them for 2 whole years. In the same episode, JYP himself talked about it and said that he knew that Jackson felt very lonely, but he'd never thought that it was this bad. This must be one of the very few nice things that JYP did for Jackson throughout his whole career. Sunmi revealing she's borderline. There are many sad moments that we could mention when it comes to Sunmi. Whether it's her talking about her childhood, her father, or pre-debut days, it's all very emotional. But the most heartbreaking moment must be when she openly admitted that she was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. December 2020, Sunmi starred in Running Girls alongside Chungha, EXID's Honey, Luna's 2, and Oh My Girl's Yua. The crew seemed to be getting along perfectly, and they got so close that Sunmi decided to open up about something that was really important to her. When she revealed to her fellow friends that she was diagnosed with this disorder, she immediately started crying and admitted that her condition kept hurting her in the past in the most cruel ways possible. Sunmi was diagnosed with borderline disorder several years ago, and thanks to that, she has received treatment. She said that her disorder doesn't affect only her, but people around her that were so close to her heart. It's impossible not to cry when Sunmi says, "I learned that borderline personality disorder is often hard on the people around you. I want the people around me to be happy and not be hurt because of me. I want to love them, but that also comes from something inside of me that wants to be loved in return." While Honey was listening to Sunmi's story, she was crying and later said that she could do nothing but listen and that Sunmi was so cool for talking about it. Sunmi also talked to the younger members of the cast and revealed what she thinks about debuting early. "I debuted at such an early point in my life. I got my start in society too young. We're supposed to develop the self in our teenage years, but I spent most of that time in a car. I think it's important to reflect on yourself, to learn what you like and what you're good at, to learn how to deal with your feelings. I've understood that now. It's so admirable how strong she really is, and this moment made fans fall in love with her even more." Momo returning to Twice. The group Twice we all love so dearly was not always supposed to have the lineup that it has now. In the survival show 16 girls were pitted against each other in order to fight for the spot in the group Twice. JYP had planned on making a 7-member girl group, but his plans quickly changed when he realized how talented the contestants were. In the 6th episode of the show, Momo was eliminated because her group did the worst. However, when it came to the finale of the show, things took a very different turn. JYP announced that Tui would be debuting with Twice 2, and that Momo, who was previously eliminated, would also become a member. This moment was not only extremely shocking, but so freaking emotional that it made people cry immediately. Momo had no idea about this, and she found out this news at that very moment. The whole group was touched, and especially Sana and Mina, who were really happy when they found out that Momo would be debuting with them, since they made a promise that the 3 of them would debut together since they were all from Japan. This was simply epic. Felix getting eliminated from Stray Kids. And yes, this video would simply not be complete without mentioning Felix's elimination from another JYP survival show. Do you see a pattern, guys? JYP simply loves tormenting people. Stray Kids is a group beloved by many, and I mean, I'm not surprised since these guys are so freaking talented that it blows my mind. The emotional moment happened in the 8th episode of the show when Felix got eliminated after he was told that his Korean wasn't good enough and that it affected his rapping skills. Every member was so fond of him, and the last thing they wanted was to see him go. Of course, Felix started crying, but along with him, the leader Bangchan almost cried his eyes out. Bangchan was blaming himself for Felix's elimination, saying that he should have been there to help him. The most beautiful thing about this episode was when Bangchan approached Felix and told him to always find him in the future while promising him that he would never leave him behind. Can you imagine Stray Kids without Felix? Let's not even think about that, please. And that's all from me today. Share your thoughts in the comments. Which other emotional moments from K-pop shows do you know about, and which one do you find the most touching? Thanks for watching. Bye!